So my whole life, grew up hearing the gospel, going to church, Bible study, all of it. I guess growing up, I never really felt like my own. It was always like my parents' religion that I have to tag along with. And then I would say in high school is really when I kind of rebelled. I don't think my parents knew the extent of my rebellion. It was like, I had like maybe like two personalities, There was like, to my parents' face, I was still the good girl. I still went to church because I was expected, but still like believed there was a God. It just didn't feel like my God. And the only thing I think really keeping me grounded at all was I was under my parents' roof, and I knew I had expectations still. So once I went into college, of course, that just opened the doors up for me to just really embrace like living in the world, living like the life of sin that I was. Self-control was out the window. I was living more and more like kind of like what you think the world expects of you. What you're told is like, this is normal behavior. This is how you're a young adult. You're supposed to do all these things without, going into too much detail. But those roots were still there of what I knew was right. And I knew better. Yeah, so after college, I got a job teaching English overseas in China. And so being in China, totally cut off from like my friends, kind of had to step back from the life I was living, really put things into perspective. And so at the time I was in a long distance relationship with my now husband, Jose. He got saved before I did, but he was just coming to terms with what that meant. And he was really looking at a lot of like Bible preaching and sermons online. And he started to send them to me. And, I was like I grew up hearing all this. I know what it is, but I was interested in him. So I was like, I'll listen, because he's sending them to me. I want to say, yeah, I watched it, So thankfully I listened, because I started watching more and more. And then I started watching more on my own without him having to send them to me. And I hadn't heard preaching like that before. Yeah, so it really put me in my place. And I remember just one night I was like thinking about it all in bed, just crying. And I literally just like cried out to God, saying I was sorry. And then I needed help, basically. That was my prayer, was just help me. I don't know what I'm doing, help me. And yeah, just, relief, I think I'd like prayed that as a kid, that kind of thing, like, you're told to, but that was the moment when it really like felt like my own choice, my own decision. When we came back to the States with Jose, I told, like, he wanted to get into a Bible believing church with good preaching, and I said, I trust you to take us where we need to go. And then we came here. I think it was either our first or second Sunday back in the country, and just like at the moment we got back in the car, we were like, oh, that's it. That's where we need, like, the preaching, the sense of community. Like, it was just, we just knew that was where we needed to be. And now 2 years down the road, we've gone through discipleship with Pastor and his wife. Pastor did our wedding. Now we have an 8-month-old son who is dedicated here at the church. So yeah, just looking back, it's crazy to think the person I was like 2 years ago compared to who I am now. And just thank the Lord all the time for blessing me, because I know none of this I don't deserve it, any of it. And I wouldn't have my husband, I wouldn't have my son without first like getting saved. None of that would have come about. It's not gonna feel like things are being taken away from you. You're given a lot more. I know when you're on the outside looking in, people don't really get it if they're not saved, and they think like, why would you like give away your old life or whatever? You're gaining so much. Not just on like this world on the earth, but like eternally, like maybe it's hard to understand, but it's the best decision I've ever made. I don't know what else to say.